What if the very ground we walk upon was mapped according to the heavens above? What if the temples, pyramids, and monoliths of our ancestors were not just feats of architecture, but cosmic instruments, built not merely with stone and sweat, but with stardust and celestial memory? Across the sands of Egypt, the jungles of Mesoamerica, and the plateaus of Mesopotamia, ancient civilizations gazed at the night sky, not for entertainment, not merely for navigation, but as a sacred dialogue with the universe itself. They saw in the stars the fingerprints of divine intelligence, a language written in light, whispering truths about the soul, the cycles of time, and the hidden order of reality. These cultures were not primitive, they were precise. The Great Pyramids of Giza align with the Belt of Orion. The Mayan temples echo the rising of Venus. Stonehenge greets the solstices like an ancient clockwork heart still pulsing in the earth. But how? How did these early peoples, with no telescopes, satellites, or digital measurements, achieve such cosmic alignment? Were they simply brilliant astronomers, or did they possess a deeper knowledge, an intuitive wisdom lost to time? And more importantly, what does this ancient relationship with the stars mean for us, here and now? In this journey, we will step into the temples of the past to uncover the mystical science of celestial alignment. We will decode the wisdom etched into sacred stone and peer beyond the veil of modern understanding to touch the sacred harmony that once guided kings, shamans, and seers. We'll explore how civilizations from Egypt to the Indus Valley aligned their structures and souls to the rhythms of the cosmos, not as an act of curiosity, but as a path to divine union. And along the way, we may just rediscover something ancient in ourselves, a forgotten compass that still points to the stars. To understand why ancient civilizations aligned with the stars, we must first enter their worldview, a world not divided between the physical and the spiritual, the practical and the mystical. In their eyes, the cosmos was not distant or indifferent. It was alive, it breathed, it spoke, and if one learned to listen, it could guide both the rise of empires and the awakening of the soul. In ancient Egypt, the sky was not merely a dome above the earth, it was the goddess Nut, arched protectively over her children. The stars were her jeweled body, and their nightly procession was a sacred story retold again and again. The pharaoh, seen as the earthly representative of the divine, aligned his tomb with specific stars to ensure his soul's safe passage into the afterlife. The pyramids of Giza, in particular, are not just majestic tombs, they are star maps in stone. The shafts inside the Great Pyramid point to Orion's belt and the star Sirius, celestial entities associated with Osiris and Isis, gods of resurrection and rebirth. These alignments were not symbolic, they were portals. Further east, in the lands of the Vedic sages, the stars were seen as devas, cosmic intelligences guiding the wheel of karma. The ancient texts known as the Vedas and later the Upanishads spoke of the nakshatras, the lunar mansions through which the moon travels each month. Each nakshatra held its own vibration, deity, and spiritual significance. Vedic rituals, marriages, even battles, were timed not by convenience, but by the will of the heavens. The very act of harmonizing with these stellar patterns was seen as aligning with the deeper order of Dharma, the cosmic law. In Mesoamerica, the Maya developed one of the most sophisticated astronomical systems the world has ever seen. Their pyramids, such as El Castillo at Chichen Itza, were constructed with mathematical precision to mirror celestial movements. During the equinox, a shadow in the shape of a serpent slithers down the steps of the pyramid, Kukulkan, the feathered serpent god, descending to the earth. For the Maya, time itself was a sacred cycle, and the stars were its keepers. But why did these cultures devote such effort to aligning their structures with the stars? The answer lies in a deeper truth echoed across continents and traditions: as above, so below. This ancient Hermetic axiom reveals the foundation of esoteric wisdom, that the outer cosmos reflects the inner self. Aligning a temple with the stars wasn't just architectural, it was alchemical. It was a way to harmonize the energies of the earth with the frequencies of the heavens, creating a conduit through which spiritual energy could descend. To the ancients, architecture was ritual, space was sacred, and orientation mattered. Every angle, every measurement, every position was chosen not merely for function, but for resonance. By aligning with the stars, they aligned with divine order. They understood that the universe is not random, it is a grand symphony, and they sought to play their part in harmony. This cosmic choreography didn't just shape cities, it shaped consciousness. A temple aligned with the solstice or the equinox was not only a marker of time, but a mirror of the soul's own seasonal journey, its descents, ascents, deaths, and rebirths. The great monuments were, in essence, tools for transformation. As we move forward, we will explore exactly how these alignments were achieved, what principles guided them, and what secrets are still hidden beneath the stones. Because to understand how the ancients aligned with the stars, is to remember that we too are made of stardust, still seeking our place in the cosmos. To unlock the secrets of how ancient civilizations aligned with the stars, we must go beyond mere architecture. This was not just about bricks meeting sky, it was about consciousness meeting cosmos. These alignments were acts of sacred geometry, designed not only to impress the eye, but to resonate with the very frequencies of the universe. To decode their intent, we must learn to read stone as scripture, and stars as syllables of a divine language. Let us begin with one of the most enduring mysteries, the Great Pyramids of Giza. Standing for thousands of years, they are aligned with astonishing precision to the cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west. But more curiously, the three pyramids are positioned to reflect the stars of Orion's belt, a constellation deeply linked to Osiris, god of the afterlife and rebirth. The smallest of the three pyramids is slightly offset, just as the smallest star in Orion's belt is. This was not accidental. It was a stellar mirror on Earth, a divine replica of the celestial order. But how did they achieve such alignment without modern tools? The answer lies in their profound understanding of observational astronomy and sacred proportion. Ancient Egyptian priests observed the heliacal rising of Sirius, the star whose annual return just before dawn marked the flooding of the Nile, a vital event for survival. By tracking such patterns year after year, they could chart the heavens with uncanny precision. They used plumb lines, shadow casting, and water levels to determine true north, techniques both simple and profoundly accurate. Similarly, in ancient Mesopotamia, ziggurats rose like stairways to the stars. These massive temple towers were aligned with celestial bodies like Jupiter and Venus, which the Sumerians associated with gods such as Marduk and Inanna. These alignments were not just homage, they were designed for transmission. The ziggurat was a tuning fork, vibrating in resonance with the rhythms of the heavens. When aligned correctly, it became a place where divine presence could descend, what we might call a stargate in myth, but what the ancients simply called sacred space. Moving westward, we find Stonehenge, its massive stones forming a prehistoric observatory that marks the solstices and equinoxes with eerie precision. During the summer solstice, the sun rises directly over the heel stone, sending its light into the heart of the monument. For the builders of Stonehenge, the turning points of the solar cycle were more than seasonal, they were spiritual. Solstice meant a pause in the wheel of time, a threshold moment where the veil between worlds thinned. Aligning the stones to the sun's path was a way to capture that sacred pause, to hold eternity in a single ray of light. And then, there is the Maya. They charted the heavens so meticulously that they predicted solar eclipses, the movements of Venus, and the cycles of time stretching thousands of years into the future. Their entire calendar system, based on the interplay of the solar, lunar, and Venusian cycles, was embedded into the layout of their cities. Temples were aligned with specific stars and planetary risings, not randomly, but in correspondence with mythic events and cosmological cycles. These people were not just architects, they were star scribes, etching the sky's patterns into the landscape. Their constructions were acts of memory, ritual, and reverence. To align a temple with the stars was to declare, we are not separate from the cosmos. We are its reflection, its echo, its children. But deeper still, many of these cultures believed that such alignment allowed for an exchange of energy, a descent of celestial force into earthly form. The stars were not distant, they were active agents, infusing specific locations with power. By aligning with these points, ancient structures became receivers of divine broadcast, much like a tuning dial on a radio is tuned to a specific frequency. In essence, they were building instruments, not merely to observe the stars, but to commune with them. In the next section, we'll venture further into the mystery, exploring the deeper metaphysical principles at play, the sacred mathematics hidden in their constructions, and the possibility that these ancient architects were guided by something far greater than empirical knowledge alone. To go deeper into the cosmic minds of our ancestors is to realize they were not just measuring stars, they were interpreting consciousness. Their monuments are not only aligned with celestial movements, they are encoded with cosmic principles, woven through with metaphysical intelligence. What we call architecture, they called invocation, a means of calling down the divine. Let us consider a concept shared across many ancient civilizations, the idea that numbers are not abstract quantities, but sacred forces. In Pythagorean thought, numbers were the very building blocks of creation. The triangle, the square, the golden ratio, these were not simply tools of measurement. They were archetypes, reflections of cosmic order. This same numerical reverence appears in the proportions of the Great Pyramid, whose dimensions encode the golden ratio phi, the number pi, and even the speed of light, suggesting a level of knowledge we still struggle to fully comprehend. In Angkor Wat, the Khmer temple complex in Cambodia, The architecture aligns not only with the solstices and equinoxes but also reflects the cycles of time in the Hindu cosmology. The number of towers, the measurements of the courtyards, and the distance between gateways all correspond to yugas, the great time cycles of Hindu belief. Each step through the temple is a journey through time itself. Here, the temple is not just a structure, it is a cosmic clock, a physical embodiment of time's unfolding. But what if these structures weren't simply inspired by the stars, but built with their help? In many traditions, including the Vedic, Egyptian, and indigenous shamanic systems, there is the belief that knowledge can be received, downloaded, if you will, from the stars or celestial beings. The Dogon people of Mali, for instance, speak of the star Sirius and its invisible companion long before Western astronomy confirmed its existence. According to Dogon oral tradition, their ancestors were visited by beings from Sirius who taught them about the cosmos. Whether metaphor or memory, the implication is powerful. The stars were not only guides, but teachers. These teachings often took the form of sacred geometry, a language beyond words, rooted in vibration and form. Sacred geometry is not just a visual art, it is a blueprint of the universe. The flower of life, the Sri Yantra, and the labyrinth, all these symbols echo the fractal and harmonic nature of creation. Ancient builders encoded these patterns into their monuments, believing that certain shapes and alignments could alter human consciousness, open portals, or harmonize the body with cosmic frequencies. We see this most clearly in the placement of temples and megaliths at energy hotspots, what modern geomancers might call ley lines or dragon lines. These lines, said to be the Earth's subtle energy channels, often intersect at sacred sites which are, curiously, aligned with significant stars. This suggests that the ancients were not only mapping the heavens, but also the energetic anatomy of the Earth herself. They built at the confluence of telluric and celestial energy, uniting sky and soil in a harmonious whole. Take Machu Picchu, the lost city of the Inca, perched high in the Andes. Its orientation to the solstices, its altars aligned with stellar events, and its position atop intersecting Earth energy lines point to an advanced understanding of geomagnetic and cosmic energy interplay. This was not accidental. This was attunement, a spiritual technology designed to elevate the soul by synchronizing it with the pulse of the Earth and the rhythm of the stars. And perhaps that is the greatest secret. These alignments were not built for the gods alone, they were built for us. To remind us that we are not separate from the universe, but expressions of it. That just as a pyramid reflects Orion, so too does the human soul reflect the divine. The structures mirrored the stars so that the inner temple, the mind, the heart, the spirit, could be brought into alignment as well. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore how this ancient wisdom can be applied today. How can we, in a world of digital noise and synthetic light, realign ourselves with the stars? What practices can we adopt to remember the cosmic harmony our ancestors lived by? If the ancients aligned with the stars to awaken consciousness and commune with the divine, then perhaps the question for us is not how did they do it, but how can we? Though we no longer build megaliths with bare hands or chant under a moonlit sky before planting our fields, the wisdom that guided such practices still pulses beneath the surface of our modern lives. The sky is the same. The stars still speak. The real question is, are we still listening? To begin, we must first reawaken our relationship with the cosmos. One of the most powerful and accessible ways is through celestial observation as meditation. Find a quiet space beneath the night sky. Sit or lie down in stillness. Look up, not with the eyes of science, but with the eyes of spirit. Choose a star or constellation, Orion, the Pleiades, Sirius, and let your breath fall into rhythm with its light. Inhale, exhale, feel the ancient connection rekindling. The stars you gaze upon are the same ones your ancestors once followed, prayed to, aligned their lives with. This is not stargazing, this is remembering. Another practice is the creation of personal sacred space aligned with celestial events. Just as ancient temples were positioned to greet the solstice sun or the rising of Venus, so too can your home, altar, or meditation corner become a microcosmic temple. Begin by finding the true east, where the sun rises on the equinox. Position a candle, a symbol, or a sacred object in that direction. Let it become your morning sun, your new beginning. As the seasons change, observe where the sunlight enters your space. Adjust your altar or meditation position to follow this cycle. In doing so, you align your body and spirit with the turning of the cosmic wheel. We can also practice ritual timing, just as the ancients did. Begin tracking the lunar cycle, the new moon for setting intentions, the full moon for release, gratitude, or heightened spiritual work. The solstices and equinoxes are sacred gates, times of pause, reflection, and realignment. Mark them not with celebration alone, but with silence, prayer, journaling, or inner work. You are stepping back into the circle of time, the spiral of stars. And perhaps most importantly, cultivate what the ancients revered above all, inner alignment. Use breathwork to center yourself, as the ancients did in yogic pranayama or the breath practices of Egyptian mystery schools. Use visualization to see your spine as a pillar, your chakras as sacred stones, your crown as an observatory reaching toward the heavens. You are a temple. Your thoughts, your actions, your focus, they determine whether your inner altar is in alignment with divine order or lost in chaos. And when the noise of modern life pulls you away, return to the mantra of old, as above, so below. Let it guide you back to balance. When you feel out of harmony, look to the sky. Is the moon waxing or waning? What phase is Venus in? Which constellation guards the night? The stars were the first calendar, the first oracle, the first compass. And they can still guide you, if you let them. Even in the concrete jungle, where stars seem faint and hidden, you carry them within. Your cells resonate with stardust. Your bones remember the alignment. With every breath, every gaze skyward, you reactivate a lineage that stretches back not just generations, but millennia. You are not separate, you are not small, you are part of a grand design, a note in the cosmic song. And by aligning your inner world with the greater heavens, you begin to sing in tune once more. In the final part of this journey, we will reflect on the sacred truths we've uncovered and issue a call, not only to wonder but to awaken. Across deserts and jungles, atop mountains and hidden valleys, our ancestors raised their eyes to the sky, and saw more than stars. They saw messages, patterns, gods, and guidance. They did not merely observe the heavens. They aligned with them. They mirrored the cosmos in stone and soul, encoding wisdom into every angle, every shadow, every sunrise that kissed their sacred walls. From the pyramids of Egypt to the temples of the Maya, from the stones of Stonehenge to the spirals of Angkor Wat, the message is the same. We belong to the stars. The ancients knew that when we align with the rhythms of the cosmos, we realign with our truest selves. That the heavens above are not distant, they are intimate reflections of the divine within. So now, the question turns to you. In a world that rushes and forgets, can you remember? Can you pause to feel the pulse of the universe move through you? Can you turn your life into a living temple, aligned not with chaos, but with celestial harmony? Start small, watch the moon, rise with the sun, create a sacred space. Listen for the wisdom that hums behind silence. The ancients have not left us. They live in the stones, in the stars, and in the quiet moments where we choose to remember. Thank you for walking this path of wonder and mystery with me. If this journey stirred something within you, I invite you to like this video, share it with fellow seekers, and subscribe to the channel for more hidden knowledge, ancient wisdom, and spiritual techniques to illuminate your path. Until next time, may you walk in harmony with the stars, and may the light of ancient truths guide your way. Thank you for watching.